Hi, I'm Marsha, also known as Fairy Little, and this is the Fairy Little Knitting Podcast. Welcome back to everybody who has been here before, and welcome to anybody who is a new viewer. This is a knitting podcast, and we are just going to get right into the luscious knitting goodness. So where shall I begin? So I'm coming to you from British Columbia, Canada, in the sunny Okanagan, and it is finally getting sunny. Over the last few weeks, even up to a month, we've had flood warnings, and they had to bring out sandbags, and our community started flooding, and another community across the lake started flooding, and there has just been a lot of flooding going on, and there was a lot of damage. Our lake here, Okanagan Lake, actually came above anywhere it has ever been as far as how much past the shoreline it has ever gotten in recorded history. And we have this, it's called the Sycamoose, which is a boat that is moored, and it was used for travel on the Okanagan Lake in the early 1900s, and they essentially parked it. So it's just the nose of it was in the water, and it's all connected to sewer and gas and electrical at the back of the boat where it's connected to the mainland. And they actually had to go in and disconnect it because it started floating, because it got so, the water got so high it started floating. And then there's this other boat that is a smaller boat that's beside it that they've been restoring, but they haven't restored it enough. And it, when the water rose, it actually took on water, so it's caused more damage to that boat. So it's going to need even more help. But beaches and stuff have been closed, and we had levees that were burst, and we had a dock that went out into the lake, part of a walking path that they had to close because the water just damaged it too much. And so that's been kind of going on for the last month. And I didn't mention it previously because it was kind of in the middle of it, and now everything's receding and everything is fine. So I just wanted to share with you when everything's good. So it's all okay. And the water has been receding. The sun has been shining more, so that is also helping. And the community is no longer in as much danger as it had been in the last couple weeks. So it is doing really well. And we are heading out. I'm going to a fiber event in New Denver, and it is called Fiberphilia. And that is coming up this weekend. So I've got Edith out, and Edith is my trailer. Edith is out, and I'm getting her ready to go on a nice trip, and packing her up, and we're taking the kids and my husband, and he's going to take the kids hiking and biking while I go to the Fiberphilia event, which I'm very, very much excited about. And if you are in the Kootenay area of British Columbia and you feel like coming by, there's a lot of different events going on around the community. So that is what's going to be happening. So I'm very excited about that, and I will share with you how that goes in the next episode. So what am I wearing? I'm wearing the Liesl. Let me go find that. So I'm wearing the Liesl by Julie Weisenberger, and it has quite a few adaptations in it because it's more of a tunic, but I changed it into a full-length dress. So I'll show you. I've shown it on the podcast before, and it actually comes down on the sides past my knees, whereas it's supposed to come down to about here, I think. But I just wanted to make it longer, and because of that, I actually ran out of the yarn that I was using. So this is a silk yarn, and then this is an alpaca. The dark blue is an alpaca, and then there's a light turquoisey color that is silk, so I use silk and alpaca for the top. So these yarns are not at all, this yarn, but they're so close and they change up the pattern so much that you can't really tell. I didn't even realize about that pooling. And the other thing is, because I added so much length to it, I actually ended up having to crochet an edge around it because it just pulled. There was so much weight, it just pulled, and adding the crocheted edge to it just gave it extra structure, and it's kind of a fancy crocheted edge that I did. It's like a reverse crocheted edge. I used to crochet all the time, so I had some fancy edges that I knew how to do, and that just gave it the extra structure it needed to hold it where it needs to be so it doesn't drag down. So this is one of my favorite little spring dresses. I don't wear it very much because sometimes the alpaca in it just makes me a little bit itchy, so I usually wear something underneath of it, but that is what I'm wearing today. And it's a really nice pattern. I had no problems with it, and it's supposed to have pockets as well, but I didn't add the pockets in. So I have released a pattern, and it came out today. My test knitters are still just finishing up. Quite a few of them are completely done, and I know that there's no issues with the pattern. And it is called the Sorrento Shawl, and here it is, here and here. So I've done two different renditions, and when I design a pattern, I always knit it twice. So I have two versions of every one I do. The first one is the pattern that I'm writing it out as I'm knitting it and getting the ideas flowing and that sort of thing. And then so that was the first rendition right there. And then this is a new finished object because it was completed since the last episode and blocked and everything. And it is, this one over here was knit in Caspa and Riverstone yarns. Handmaiden, Caspa is handmaiden yarn. And there'll be a link below to a website that sells handmaiden yarn and Riverstone yarns. All of the yarns that I talk about, I try to put in the down bar below the video so you can go and find it and click on it. It just makes it a little bit simpler. And over here, this is done with, so this one here, the lightest color is Casba again. And that is, so handmaiden Casba, and that's in the natural color. And then the other two, the gray and the pink that are there, are with Sweet Georgia yarns, Tough Love Sock. And so they're very, like, all of the skeins are very generous skeins, and it takes 3 skeins, and they are, it's such a fun knit. Like, that is one thing that my testers kept saying, is that they had so much fun knitting this shawl, and it's actually my favorite shawl that I have, that I've knit, and I love it. There's enough interest going on that you don't get bored. There's enough color change that you're wondering what it's going to look like next, which is very exciting. I love color and texture, and you'll notice that with each of my designs that there tends to be quite a bit of color and texture, and you could see right there that there's a ton of color and texture there, and those are all my designs there that are neatly stacked. So that has come out today, and I have an introductory offer for the Sorrento Shawl. And so you can get it right now for $3 if you use the coupon code in the checkout, and it is, if you use the coupon code 3Sorrento, and it's the number 3 and Sorrento written all out in caps, and it's just across the screen here. And there will be a link below to the pattern so you can get your hands on it, as well as all of the rest of my patterns are in my Ravelry design shop, and they are all $4 or less. So you can go over there and take a look through all of the different patterns and see if there's one that strikes your fancy. But this one is on special right now, and I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. It is so pretty. It is such a nice knit, and it has 3 different lace sections, but the lace is very intuitive, and it's really easy, and it's good for like a newer lace knitter is the feedback that I got, that it's, you know, it's it's easier for a newer lace knitter. There's some short rows, there's some striping, and it's just, I just adore this shawl. At its full wingspan, it is very large. It is about 10 feet long. So once it's blocked out, it's about 10 feet long. So it is quite large. And I'm just going to grab this one and show you. So you can see it's knit from the top down. So that's the top, and then it's knit down, and there's the first lace section, and then some short rows and some changing of color, and a nice little there's a nice little eyelet detail in the short rows, and then there is 2 different lace sections down at the bottom. And this is a large picot bind off, so when you block it, you just block out the picots, and it just gives it a really nice detail on the end. And it is such a nice shawl to wrap and just cozy down in, and I am definitely in love with this shawl. So I'm a little bit biased, but I love it. And it is, yeah, it is so pretty. I've never gotten so many compliments on a shawl. While I was knitting it, while wearing it, I've gotten so many compliments on it. So it is definitely something that I will get a lot of use out of. And it would be something that would be a really good gift for somebody, and it's just so, yeah, it's so pretty. And it was a fairly quick knit for me, so my test knitters have been working on it for a couple weeks, and they are like I said, quite a few of them are done, and some of them are just on the edging, and some of them are just getting down to blocking now. So it's at the very end, but enough people have finished it that I know that there's no issues with it. And so yeah, so this is available on Ravelry. The link is below, and definitely take advantage of that that discount that's out there right now. So I would like to talk about something that I have been working on. This is a project that you have seen before, and you have seen it quite a few times before. If you've been watching the podcast, you've definitely seen it before, since the beginning. If you are new, then you wouldn't have seen this yet, so I'm excited to show you. So I have a design out that is called the Schmancy Shawl, because it was my first shawl to design, and it was fancy schmancy. So I, before I designed the one that's available, I was doing my first knit, and I essentially designed it very differently than how I released it. I simplified it a lot for the release, and that is because there was quite a bit of lace going on in the body, and this is it. So this is the first one I was making. It's got big lace sections in it, and I'd received a few comments on it that maybe I should make it simpler for people. So this actual pattern you cannot get. This one is, this is just mine. So, but the Schmancy you can get out of my Ravelry store. But what I'm doing right now is I am doing the knitted bind off, which this is included in the pattern for the Schmancy. But I'm just doing the bind off, and I have almost the first section done. And then I'm going into the second, and there's 4 sections that I need to do. And so that's where I'm at for now. The yarn that I'm using is, the purple is Undead yarn in the Dino colorway. So it's Undead yarn, and it is 70% alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. And there's 437 yards in it in a 100-gram skein, and it is so soft. This yarn was my first really luxury yarn that I purchased, and I am enjoying it so much just to have it on my lap now, because I've been done knitting with it for quite a while. And so the white color that I'm using is Barocco Folio, and it is dye lot 56, and it is 65% superfine alpaca and 35% rayon. So it's not, it's definitely not as nice as the other one, but it has the same kind of, it's a little bit loftier than this one, but I think that they go together really nicely, those two colors, and it just gives it a nice look. So I've got 2 balls here, and it will take both of them to finish this edging. Because of the kind of edging it is, it takes up quite a bit more yarn than you would think, because it's not a regular edging. Essentially, you're knitting it's up to 26 rows this way, and then you're knitting that the whole length of the shawl. So it's quite a bit of yarn in that little bit, but it will block out to be massive, and lace likes it when you're mean to it. So when you block out lace, if you block it out and just like stretch it right out, it gives it makes your shawl larger, but it also opens up all of the stitches and evens them out a lot nicer. So when, like for example, when I blocked this, I blocked it as far out as I could get it in all directions. So I started at the center and I worked my way out and blocked it hard, and then went back around and pulled it even harder to get it to open up as far as I could, because lace just, the meaner you are to lace, the more it gives you, I feel like. So it just opens right up. And so this, I have no doubt, is going to just be massive and amazing. So, and that's what I want out of a shawl. So that is one thing I've been working on. Another thing I've been working on is I cast on a fingering weight sweater, and I cast on something different to start off with. And I'm not going to go into what it was right now, but suffice it to say, and if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw my post, but I cast on a top, and the directions were not very clear. It called for stitch markers to be put in, and then it didn't reference the stitch markers again, and so it was very confusing, because it would use like knit a quarter of the stitches, knit a half of the stitches, but it didn't make it clear whether you were knitting to the first marker, or if you were knitting to like the second marker or third marker, whatever it was for the thing. And so I also was hungry at the time, which could be a problem. I'm one of those people that needs to eat a little bit before I take on a new project, I've realized about myself. So I did get very frustrated, and I'm not usually one to get frustrated like this, but I just did not understand what the directions were trying to tell me to do, and it wasn't very clear. So I ended up ripping it out. I did email the designer, and the designer sent me a message back and said, go look over in this area, or if that doesn't work, go to this area, or email me at this address. So she did get back to me. That is probably not a sweater I'm going to knit. I just, I kind of want, if you spend a certain amount for a pattern, I kind of hope that it will be clear and that each size it's clear for each size. I don't know if that makes sense. So for example, one section it said knit a quarter of the stitches. So for each size, I would like it to say, if you're this size, knit this many stitches. If you're this size, knit this many stitches. It's just kind of part of the math. Yeah, that's personal preference. You could totally be different, and that is definitely okay. For my preference, yeah, I won't be knitting that sweater. But let's talk about the one I will be knitting. So I cast on, it's called the Luella Top by Susie Sparkles. And it has this beautiful lace yoke, and then it's knit from the top down. And so it's got the 3/4 inch sleeves, and it's just a plain knit body. And this top is beautiful. I'm enjoying it so much. The yarn is by West Coast Color, and it is in the spring color way, and it is this beautiful green. I am in love with this green, and the lace is very intuitive. So that's what the lace looks like, and how she does her increases, genius. I am loving how the increases are done. And there's this cool little bobble stitch in there as well that you can see. So the bobble stitch goes down, and then that's what it will end with, is the bobble stitch along the bottom, and then it will go into the straight knit. So, and the neckline is just cast on like that. And so it looks small on the needles, but it's just because it's all bunched up. But it is coming along so nicely. I am enjoying it so immensely. And it's coming with me to a lot of places right now because I'm just enjoying it so much. And this is the yarn. It's so pretty. It's got little hints of like yellow and little hints of blue in it too. It's such a beautiful green, and I wanted a green sweater or top ever since I saw in How I Met Your Mother. And Robin Scherbatsky, the first time you see her, she's in a green sweater. And since then, I have wanted a green sweater, and I just love this green. It is so pretty, and I cannot wait for this sweater. I won't be able to wear it this summer, but I will be able to wear it to Knit City. So I'm super excited about that because it will be ready for that. One other thing that I have knit, and it is at the stage where it is ready to be cut. My knitting is ready to be cut. So this is my big long Afterthought Everything socks. So this is going to be 2 socks. I'm going to cut it in the middle and add a toe, and then I'm going to do completely Afterthought heels and put them in, and then weave in the ends, and my socks will be done. So what I did is I knit with the entire ball, and this is opal yarn, and so this is the entire skein. And I just cast it on what I normally do for my stitches, and I knit and knit and knit and knit and knit. And then when I got to the point where I wanted to end it, because I wanted to end with purple, some purple on the top, like this one. It didn't work out exactly, but this is how much I have left. So that is That's it. Like, I played yarn chicken and I totally won. So the couple things that I would like to talk about with this so far. Here's it's the 150 grams, 240. It's the heavier weight opal yarn. So it's not the lighter one, but I use 2.0 millimeter needles, and they are the Knitter's Pride Nova Platina. And I knit tighter on double pointed needles than I do doing magic loop, which I didn't really think about until I was knitting these and realized that they are a little bit tight, but it's fine because once I block them, they'll relax a bit. So one of the things I want to talk about with this as well is this is my cast on edge, and it's very loose and like elasticy. I'm not worried about that. But the edge looks very even and very clean. On my cast off edge, it kind of, and I cast off in pattern, so it's a knit 2 purl 2 ribbing. So I did the knit 2 purl 2 cast off, but the edging has a lot more give to it, but it also kind of goes out at the ends. Like it's not anything that's going to bother me when it's actually as socks, because with wear it'll stretch out a bit, but you can tell that this is wider than that, and that is just because of how the cast off is versus the cast on. So, and they will be reverse socks, so they won't be identical. They will be the opposite. So this one goes this way for pattern, and then this one goes this way for that same pattern. So down and up. So they are fraternal twins. So they're not the same at all, but they're identical. But they are. So my next step for this is to count my rows and cut my stitches and put them back on the needle and knit some toes. So that is going to be coming. I'm thinking that I might do a video for my lovely patrons who continue to support me month to month. And they actually, through their support, they pay for prizes that I purchase and for shipping of those said prizes. So I have started doing some different kind of tutorials that I've been putting up in the Patreon page, and I'm thinking that I might add that in there as one of the Patreon videos for those of you who are patrons. So that is going to be going in there. So I'll be doing that very soon. This is something that I finished and I showed you last time, but I've since blocked it. And this is the Stargazer Shawl. And so this one, it was finished last time, but the ends weren't woven in and it wasn't blocked. So I have since woven in those ends and blocked it. And this yarn is Ancient Arts in the Art Deco colorway. So that is that. I was given a couple gifts at the Sorrento retreat, and I'm just going to talk about a couple of them right now. This was given to me by Carla of the Nyx Knits podcast, and it is from YYC Knits, and it's this beautiful little, it's a little notions pouch that came with some yarn in it, and it also came with some beautiful stitch markers. I was given some other stitch markers that I'll talk about on a future podcast as well, but these, and the loops on these stitch markers are large enough that they can go on a larger needle, which is really good. So I'm very excited about that. So yeah, this yarn is beautiful. It's called Carburn Park, and it's just this little taste. It's cashmere, superwash merino cashmere nylon sock weight yarn. So it's very, very soft, and it's so pretty, those little speckles. I've never used this yarn before, so I'm fairly like I'm super excited about knitting with this. And it just feels so squishy. And look at those colors. There's little dots of color here and there. It's so pretty. So pretty. So, here, let me open it up. This cute little hank. Yeah, sometimes just opening it up gives you that. It's a really good look. It looks like a sunset to me. It is so pretty. And there's quite a bit of yarn here too, so that's good too. So pretty. So thank you so much. This Carla gave it to me, but it was a gift from YYC Knits. So I really appreciate that, and I want to say thank you so much for this beautiful, thoughtful little gift. And this little Notions pouch just zips right up, and it's so cute. And they gave this to me because it has fairies all over it. Isn't that so sweet? I love fairies. They're so adorable. It's such a cute little pouch, and yeah, I love it. And I haven't, well, you can see it's still as I received it because I didn't want to mess anything up before I showed you. One other thing Carla gave me is when she was going to get on the plane, we picked her up and dropped her off at the airport before Sorrento, and she had the cutest gray shoes that were knit, and she had a second pair of red ones, and when I was standing there, she's like, hey, try these on. So I tried them on, and she told me I could have them. And they're red Converse shoes, and the fabric is actually knitted. It's not a print of knitted fabric, it's actually yarn, and it's knitted up, and I love these so much. And I told Carla, thank you so much. They're so pretty, and I've gotten a lot of wear out of them. I won't show you the bottoms of them, but they're so cute, and I'm so happy to have these knitted shoes, and I will definitely be wearing them this weekend at the Fiberphilia event. So yesterday there was a Saturday market in this little town that's next to mine called Summerland. And it's called Summerland because it's very summery there. Because it's the sunny Okanagan. And so there was a couple ladies there. Laura and Paula from Bad Anna's yarn store in Vancouver were up, and they came to the Summerland Market. And they were trying to get into a place in Penticton to do a tasting here as well, but we got some lines crossed, and we just I didn't organize anything in time. So, excuse me. So they came, and they had a beautiful, beautiful selection of yarn, and they had wool mice, which is beautiful, stunning yarn. And so they are actually going to be starting an online store, and it's www.badannas.com, and it starts on July 15th. And as you can see there, it's free shipping on the first 25 orders. So this is the launch of their online shop, and so it's not till July 15th, but just mark that in your calendar, because if you're one of the first 25 orders, you get free shipping, and that is worth a skein of yarn. So definitely check that out. They are going to Fiberphilia, so I'm going to get to see these ladies again, and I am going to be interviewing them. So I'm very excited about that, and yeah, so that's coming up. I also wanted to share with you all something that I received in the mail. I ordered it and received it in the mail. And this is an amazing resource for anyone, any knitter. And I first saw this, it's a book. I first saw this book when I was visiting Jenny, who has the Lone Larch podcast and Lone Larch Design knitting bags. And I was visiting her at her place, and we were having a knit night in her living room. And lo and behold, behind me was this amazing book called The Principles of Knitting by June Hemmons Hyatt. This is like the knitting book with all of the stitches, all of the answers. It's like a university textbook, essentially. And it has construction, it has stitches, it has casting off in double fabrics, casting on, grafting, Mobius grafting, color work, measurements and schematics. It has so much in this book. It is an amazing, amazing resource. I found it on, I want to say Amazon is where I found it, and I haven't read the whole thing. It's quite a thick book, but I have spent some quality time within its pages, and I am definitely loving it. This one has been updated. There's an older one, and this one was updated, and it is such a, it's just an amazing, amazing book. And so I definitely would recommend this. And I'm not getting paid to say that. So just so you know. Yes, I would definitely recommend this book if you are looking for something that has explanations on things, that is very inclusive on tons of skills and different stitches. And I am just enjoying this book. Also, another book that I got is called The Essential Guide to the Brioche Stitch by Nancy Merchant, and it's knitting brioche. And this book is amazing. So I am going to be probably teaching a class on brioche next year in Sorrento. So I was asked if I would be interested in that, and we just have to firm up whether that is actually going to happen or not. So I wanted to make sure that I had resources on hand for people taking the class to look through and to see what you can be capable of doing with the brioche stitch. And this is a very inclusive book. So, and it's got tons of photos, tons of pictures to show you the different colors and the different stitches, increases, decreases, and patterns with brioche. It is an amazing brioche book. So if you are interested in knitting brioche, then I would definitely recommend this book as well. And I will be, I'm planning to be teaching that class, so I'm getting things organized, just starting it right now just to make sure that I have everything going. And I'm very, very excited about that. So again, I'm going away this weekend to Fiberphilia. I'm really excited. There's going to be classes there and some vendors. There's also going to be a yarn tasting, which I'm pretty excited about. I have not bought my ticket yet for that, but hopefully I'll be able to get one when I get there. And it has been great to catch up with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast, just click that little subscribe button, give it a little thumbs up, and thank you very, very much. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you next time. So until next time. Hi, I'm Marcia, and this is the Twitch and Stitch. No, it's not. It is not the Twitch and Stitch podcast anymore. Man, I need to do this more often. Called Fiberphilia. Oh my goodness. Are the so I'm so what is it? Is that for all of the knitting? How will I chat about this? Is